All right, go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming. Command 101, opportunities. Special guest today, Jeffrey Johnson, KWBG agent. Jeffrey, how long? 3 years you've been an agent?
2.5.
2.5, okay. That's close. We'll round it. 3 agents. Jeffrey's been an agent with us. Basically, we got together. The last time we had this class, we talked about wanting to bring in an agent who was very familiar with command, who can see things from the agent's perspective, as opposed to myself, and who can show us opportunities at a very high level.
And he's also a PC graduate.
And a PC graduate.
Alumni.
Yes, fellow alum, current KWBG agent. So honestly, truly privileged to have Jeffrey here with us today. There was something that came up in a group chat the other day. Jeffrey gave an answer and it was all very clear that Jeffrey knows more about this than anybody else. And so now.
Don't give me a big head, man.
Yeah, but no, it's gonna be great. We're really fortunate. Jeffrey is also helping us build out an online store for our website for print, on-demand printed goods, laptop sleeves, thermoses, t-shirts, hooded sweatshirts, so all good stuff. That's what we're here for. So before Jeffrey kind of takes us through opportunities and how to use that in command when you have a transaction in the pipeline and moving it from contract to close. The other thing we always kind of go back to is contacts, right? None of this really makes sense if we don't have contacts. It really doesn't make sense that we don't reach out to said contacts. And we're never going to get to this point if we're not kind of working on contacts in our database in command. And so in the past, some of you will probably done this with me. We have uploaded your phone contacts via Scott Leroy Marketing by turning it into a CSV file and kind of going through what is now immediately a dating process. So command has updated to where if you have the KW command app, and then go to your contacts, in the top right of that app, there is a button that says import, which will essentially cut out that entire process that we've discussed in the past about how to create a spreadsheet and send it to this other person, and they send it back, and you say yes, and that was a really cool and quick and easy thing we did up until about last week. So now you can import all of your phone contacts immediately, forgetting all of that process. So the KW command app, when you click contacts on the top right, there will be a button that says import contacts, and there will be every phone contact you have, and it removes all of that process. And so now I know it was Jill a couple weeks back asked, if we put somebody in our phone, do we have to upload it again into command? And so now there are 2 different ways, right? You can put it into your phone, that's easiest for you, and then just import, or you can first put it into command and then import that into your phone. So either way, whichever one kind of makes the most sense for you, but now we have the import via the command app, which I think is significantly more helpful and simpler. So
it gives you the option. Sorry, Ryan.
No.
It gives you the option to pick specific contacts out of your phone. You don't have to upload all of them. So if you know, hey, I just went and put this lead in my phone yesterday, you can search for that specific name in your phone contacts instead of uploading your entire phone contact list. It's also supposed to filter to where if you already have a contact in your database, it's supposed to recognize that and not put a duplicate one. So it's a good way to kind of keep your database up to date if you're constantly adding new contacts to your phone. But I do think that whatever they're named in your phone is what they're going in your database as. So if you've got mom, dad, sugar bear, whatever you're calling your folks, that's what they're going in the command as. So just be mindful of that as you're uploading.
All right, and yeah, now I'll pass it over to Jeffrey. He can kind of take us through opportunities.
Awesome. So this opportunity section is one of the most important sections that you'll learn about here in command. This is what we use to track your pipeline. This is what we use to get paid. This is what we use to submit documentation to the office and to KREC. Regardless of, if you're on a team that's using any other software as a database, I know like Malia's team and that kind of stuff, they don't use Command as often. You still have to know how to do this. Every agent in the office has to utilize this in order to get paid a commission check. So in order to access this in Command, you're just going to log in and you're going to come down here to the two hands that are shaken, and that is your opportunity section. The first thing that you're going to want to do when you come in contact with somebody that is a lead or that may be looking to buy or sell is what Ryan just initiated, which is upload them into Command as a contact. That is your first step into starting an opportunity. So once those individuals are in your contact list here in Command, you're going to come to this opportunities page and you're going to click create an opportunity. You're going to come down and select opportunity type. Obviously, you can see we have multiple to choose from here. For this example, I'm just going to go with a buyer opportunity, but if you had a listing or a landlord or a tenant opportunity, those are available to you as well. You're going to come down and search for the client that you just created. I think I'm in my database, so we'll just work with that this morning. So you'll select the client that you have just uploaded. You can name this whatever is going to help you keep track of it. I like to, because it already organizes them by listings and buyers, I like to come in here and type in whatever the address is of the property if you know at that point. If you don't, you can leave it as buyer or seller and update that later on. You can come in and add tags to your opportunity. I don't typically utilize that section because I already have tags listed in the contacts. So when you create a contact in Command, I don't know if you all are aware, you can tag them as, I met them from church, I met them from school. You can put neighborhoods in their contact information, that sort of thing. You're going to put an estimated closing date, which is just based off the time frame they give you. If they say, yeah, I'm looking to buy in 3 months, then you'll come out 3 months, pick a date, and then also select 3 months in that time frame, and then their estimated budget. So just work with 250,000, since that's about average for our area, and then commission rate. So with this specific box, you have to submit one in order to be able to put your opportunity into Command. If you have a buyer agency agreement signed that negotiates your commission with the buyer, then you know that it's going to be whatever that commission rate that's stated in there. If you do not have a buyer agency agreement signed, you can put 3% or whatever you think you're going to make on the sale. You will just have to come back in and update that once they actually go under contract based on whatever you're going to be paid for that transaction. So if you sell a house that's only 2.5%, you don't have a 3% buyer agency, you'll need to come back and update that to 2.5%. And then we're going to pick a phase. So there are multiple phases, and each of those phases are broken down into multiple stages. I'm going to start at the beginning and kind of walk you through what that looks like and how you can move them efficiently from one stage to the next. So we will start with cultivate. Cultivate is typically, hey, I don't really know this person all that well. They're not an immediate buyer. It's something that I need to nurture for a little while. We're going to put them in here, but you can change the stage and we'll go to hot. We'll go, hey, this person, came to my open house, but they're not pre-approved. They're not ready to start looking right now, tomorrow. And then we'll hit create. And we will come back to this opportunities page and I will show you where that opportunity populates. So because it was a buyer and you put them in the cultivate section, if you can see there's a 2 down here. I already had 1 in there for my personal business, but this is the opportunity that I just created. Jeffrey Johnson, 123 Main Street. In each of these sections, you are able to create checklists.
You don't have anything that says, yeah, she doesn't have cultivate or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, because those phases do change slightly, depending on whether it's buyer, seller, and that sort of thing. When you come in here, after your opportunity has been created, you can create this edit stages button up here. You can create checklists for each of these stages to help navigate you through the transaction and keep you on track with, hey, what have I done with this specific client? What have I not? So just for example, this breaks down each of the stages in this phase. And you can see that I have, 12 items on this checklist, 10 items on this checklist, and I'll open those up and you can kind of see what we're looking at. So this is for the hot section, which is where our current opportunity is. And you can see, do we have an email address listed for the client? Do we have a phone number, current address? Have we added all parties in the transaction to command? Have you gained a copy of a pre-approval letter? These are things that are not automatically in here. They are personalizable for you and your business and how you like to keep track of things and run things. So I've come in and added all of these things just to help me keep track of where my transaction is in the process. So you can see, have I shared the KW app to be able to let them start searching for homes? Have I put them on a smart plan or an email drip campaign in the MLS? And so when you come back to your opportunity, as you're moving them through the stages, you can come into these check boxes down here and check off, what have you done, what have you not? So yeah, we have an email address and we have a phone number. And then once those items are done, it's time to move to the next phase in the opportunity section. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? So we'll go ahead and move over to a different opportunity phase. You can just drag and drop, and now it's an appointment. So going over what these phases represent, cultivate is somebody that you're nurturing. Appointment is somebody that you have scheduled to meet with, whether that's for a showing, whether that's for a buyer consult, whether that's for a Zoom call. You're going to want to put them into the appointments section. This then breaks down into scheduling, which is, hey, I haven't gotten them on my schedule, but we're talking about meeting in person or on Zoom. Scheduled, obviously, hey, this is an event that has been put on my calendar. You're going to do kept, which means you actually met with the individual. That's as far over as that goes. Once you've met with that individual, you then go over to active, assuming that client wants to move forward and purchase a property. And I'll show you kind of what these checklists look like in here too before I go out into the next section. So as far as, scheduling, I've got items like adding a consult date to the opportunity. So this opportunity section, you can add, this is the date and time that I'm going to meet. So just to help you keep track of those things. Some of this stuff is stuff that you may not, I can put a reminder in my phone a lot easier than I can go into command and log in and say, hey, I have an appointment on Tuesday at 12. But some of this is also, beneficial in knowing, hey, what have I reached out about? What have I not? Or, hey, I really need to touch base with this person, but I don't know what else to say, but I haven't sent them my command app. So let's initiate the conversation by, hey, have I sent you this app so that you could start searching for homes? We always hit that roadblock of, hey, it's been a week since I've talked to so-and-so, but I don't really want to pester him and say, hey, let's go look at this house, or hey, let's go do this. This offers you other information to share with them and keep presenting value. And some of these you'll see are repeats. I don't always start in the nurture section. If I'm meeting somebody or talking with somebody that is a referral or somebody that I know is working on the pre-approval process, they should be over in this appointment section rather than, in that nurture section, because that's somebody that I'm actively pursuing a meeting with. And so some of these are checklist items that you will have seen in the other checklist that I had, but it's because they skipped that section altogether for me in my in my pipeline. So I need to make sure that I hit those items here as well. If I didn't hit them already with them when I was cultivating that opportunity. Come back to our appointment. Move to active. Jump over here. Well, where did it go? I dropped it in the wrong section. Just a second. Yeah, I think I went in under contract. It's kind of finicky when you drag and drop. There's a manual way to go in and select from a drop down menu too, kind of like you did at the beginning. To change that opportunity phase. You don't have to drag and drop. You can also adjust this instead of it being like a pin board on here, you can make it a list. If that's, easier for you to keep track of and understand. I personally like the board. But this is an option and it'll bring up all of those opportunities that are in each of those sections. I just think that the pin board view kind of keeps everything a little more organized for me, but all right, so we should be in here now. So this active stage is where you're going to be when you start. So for this example, we're working with a buyer, so searching, showing homes under contract, negotiating on a property. Once you get to this point, once you get to negotiations, what you're going to want to do is you're going to click on this opportunity. You're going to come to documents. And you need to start a transaction in Dotloop. If you have not already. Now I know, there's preemptive documents that you can do this starting a transaction Dotloop at any stage. It's not going to hurt anything, but if you haven't done this by negotiations, that's when it needs to be done. Obviously, you're getting your buyer agency agreement signed, you're getting your consumer guide to agency signed, and all of those documents that are done before you actually start negotiating a contract. Like I said, you can start this earlier on in the process if you want to. And what's going to happen is this is going to sync with Dotloop to where it automatically creates a transaction in your Dotloop account. And I will go show you what that looks like. Give me 1 second. Should have had this already pulled up. I gotta remember my password. It's not saved on this computer. Let's see. That works. All right, so now that I've come in here, you see how my opportunity transferred over into, oh, well, actually you can't see that because it's sharing. How do I change the screen, right? It's still showing command. I think that changed it for Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yes, awesome.
For that, let's say your team is representing the client together, and split the commission.
Right.
Do you both do this in your command account, or is there a way to sync out those where if they're inputting command for a particular client, that automatically goes into yours?
So You can go into your command opportunity and select the owner of the opportunity. So for example, on a team, if the rainmaker is coming in, or team lead is coming in and assigning you an opportunity, they can go and input that opportunity and then assign you as the main point of contact for that opportunity. And it should automatically go into your command opportunities phase. And then in Dotloop, you can add individuals by email address to be able to upload documents to the Dotloop folder as well. So does that answer your question? Okay. So you can see now that in Dotloop, the opportunity that we created now has a folder to upload documents. You can come in here and see that obviously there's nothing in here. I'm assuming, are you all familiar with Dotloop and how to upload documents and that sort of thing? Okay. Figured you would be. Courtney's on top of her games. So.
She's a great teacher.
I wonder why. Not a former teacher or anything. So, what starting that Dotloop transaction does for you is when you upload a document, I'm just going to do this to kind of show you an example. But if I come in here and add a template, we can add literally anything, but oh, it's got all my forms missing because they're the old ones, the L bar removed. So once you upload a form to document, let's say you've sent a buyer agency agreement or you've sent a consumer guide to agency over, that shows up in your Dotloop once they've signed it. You can come back into command, go to documents, and obviously, you would want to pay attention to this name here and upload the right document just for educational purposes. I'm just going to upload what that addendum I just put in there, but yeah.
You put in like you have your name 123 Main Street, whatever. Like it's going to Dotloop and there are things like we're just practicing.
You can do it. You can just do test or something like that.
Yeah, like how do you? One that like owns some official place.
Right. So once you have an opportunity that isn't going to go through, let's say you have a client that isn't responding to you anymore, and hey, I don't think this is. We all get the leads that hey, this isn't legit. Somebody put a fake name into my Facebook ad, and Gary Keller responded to wanting to buy a house in Lexington. If you've created an opportunity for Gary Keller and you figure out, hey, this number is not legit, this email is not legit, you come in here and you do what's called archiving. And I'll show you that as we get closer to the end. In Dotloop, it's super simple. You come back to the beginning right here and you click archive down there at the bottom. And it's still in your Dotloop account so that if you ever need to go back and access that file, let's say Gary Keller was for real and it just took him 3 months to respond to you. You can bring that back in, but archiving it will remove it from this initial screen to where it's not all up in your face every time you log into Dotloop, if that makes sense.
Would you, after it's closed, you archive it automatically or?
Yes. So like this one, I should have archived a long time ago, but. And then once I update this screen, since I have it filtered to get rid of my archived ones, it'll go away. Does that make sense? And then you can do the same thing in command. It's just easier to show from this screen at the end, and I'll get to that in a minute. Anyways, once you have uploaded a document to Dotloop, you come back into this document section and you upload said document to the corresponding tab within command. So you see that addendum to the offer to purchase that I just uploaded to Dotloop is now available in here for me to select. Obviously, this should be a buyer rep agreement, but and you will have different tabs for different sections of your transaction. So this is for your consult, this is for your buyer rep agreement. Obviously, you see this one is optional because while it's recommended, you're not technically required to use a buyer rep. However, when you come into these under contract tabs and close tabs, you will see that these forms are required. So you've got your offer to purchase, seller's disclosure, all of the documents that we're supposed to be getting completed and shared with our clients throughout the transaction. Now, in addition to these documents, if you have something that comes up, I'm always an advocate for the larger paper trail for me, the better, so that if I ever get sued or taken to litigation for anything, I have something to back myself up. So in addition to .loop, if I upload something that's not one of these typical forms, like for example, we make a pest inspection report, or we make an addendum to the contract, or an amendment to the contract, I'm going to come in here in addition to uploading it to .loop, and I'm going to add a new document, which is in these 3 dots over here. And so I can then come in and add a document that doesn't originally populate in this section of the opportunity. So, for example, we'll do contract amendment. One, two, three, Main Street. And then you can select the document type, and you can select where you want that document to come from. And then you're supposed to select a document to upload. Obviously, because I don't have that in my .loop right now, I can't do that, but assuming that you have already uploaded that document to .loop, you'll be able to come in here and select whatever that new document is that may not already be represented in command. Any questions about that?
On that page there, back to required and all that,
Yes.
your job file here, is that just a blank file?
No.
Is it signed?
Yes, so whatever is represented in your .loop account, so if it's an executed contract that has all of your signatures, it will have all of your signatures here as well. And so .loop is great for you to keep track of your forms and that kind of thing. This is for the market center. So when you go to close out your transaction, in this opportunity section, you see this button up here that's blanked out that says submit to market center. So you have to have something in all of the required areas to be able to do that. Typically, the last form that you're going to be updating is the Alta from your closing, which is down here in the close section. Once all of those forms are in, you will hit this submit to market center button when you're coming in and dropping off your commission check and that kind of thing. And those documents then come to the market center for review. And what happens is once you've dropped off a commission check and submitted a commission request, which we'll go over in a minute, and you've submitted these documents, they're going to review the commission request and review the documents on the back end to make sure that everything is submitted the way it needs to be. You have all your signatures. I don't know if that's somebody internally that does that here, or if that's somebody outside of our office, but
I would assume it takes place here.
yeah, you get a
It's
notification.
clearly not me who does that, but somebody does this.
You get a notification if you have the command app downloaded on your phone that your commission request has been approved and your documents have been approved. It'll send you a message through the command app.
Yeah, as the MCA, it's my understanding that she would be the one reviewing these documents and handling commissions. Coming in, going.
So what's good about uploading these documents, obviously, one, you have to for the market center, but the other aspect of it is that this saves those documents in a separate space as well for you. So if for some reason you have complications with your .loop, you still have access to your documents here through command. In addition to uploading documents, something else that you're going to both want and need to do, everybody loves to get paid, is come into this offers and commissions tab and start a new offer. For a buyer, you're typically probably going to have one offer in here, because you have to create a new opportunity for each property that you're writing a contract for. If that makes sense. So if they're in the cultivate stage, it doesn't matter how many properties they look at and what documentation you start. If you haven't submitted an offer, you can change it for a different property. If you're at the point where you're writing an offer and you submit an offer and it gets rejected or turned down by the seller, and you all go and you start another property search and go and find another property that they want to go under contract on, you then have to come back and create a new opportunity for that property and that price point with that commission set to move forward. Does that make sense? Okay. So you'll come in and you'll create an offer for whatever property they're wanting to go under contract on. You'll select the date that the offer is being made, the anticipated closing date. And then what's nifty about this is you can come in here and populate the property information from the MLS. This should be synced up. Obviously, I don't think we have a 123 Main Street in here, but you can come down and select the property address that you're interested in. And of course, it's gonna make me choose something. You will need to enter the party's information. Obviously, I know that, we don't get all of this information for the seller. Typically, you don't have the seller's phone number and email if you're representing a buyer. But you can get their name from the contract. The name is the only thing that's actually required in this section for the seller. On this side of things. Now, if you move over to a seller opportunity, obviously it's the opposite. You just need the buyer's names. And then you'll come down and you'll also need the agent that is selling the property, the listing agent. So just for this example.
And when you're doing representation, then in this, does it matter that you put both representing agents there?
So I would just put, you're saying like if the listing has a co-listing agent or something like that. I would put whoever comes up either as the main point of contact on the MLS or the first co-agent. You don't have to have both, not here in command at least. I would have them both represented on your dot loop. But and then your next step is to come in and put the terms of the offer. So for this example, we're going to say that I'm financing the whole house. I'm going to put 1% down for earnest money. And then I've got a 14-day inspection period. And the seller's giving me $1,000 towards closing costs. Oh, $1,000 towards closing costs. And this section here, obviously you want to have the purchase price in there, correct? And the earnest money. This is kind of just for your reference. Nothing in this section is technically set in stone per se. What this offer section is used for is to, particularly when you're representing a seller, you can come in and type pros and cons and a summary of the offer based off the contract. But once you click save, it's going to pull this offer up. And so if you're representing a seller on the listing side of things, you can come in and if you've got 5 offers, you can put all 5 offers in here. And so it's really easy to show the seller, hey, we've got one offer at, $250,000 with 0 down and $2,500 earnest money and a 14-day inspection period. But then we have another offer that's, $250,000 cash with a 5-day inspection period and $5,000 with the earnest money. And it helps you compare those multiple offers. Obviously, you still want them to read through the contract, but it breaks it down to where it's a very straightforward model to show them like, hey, these are the 5 different offers. These are the ones that have the best terms. Which one, is something that you're interested in accepting, if any, and move forward from there. And so we're just going to say for this example, that Ryan accepted my offer on this property. And so I'm going to click accept. And then once you get, I don't do the managed commission section until I get closer to the end of my transaction closing. It's You can do it whenever you would like to after you've gone under contract. But it's just one of those things that it takes up some of your time, and if it doesn't end up closing, then there's no point in being in there. But at some point before you come into the office and drop your check off, you will want to come into this manage commission setting or section, and you will need to fill out anything that's in red here. So this one needs an under contract date. And we'll save. Ooh. Well, hang on a second. We'll say it's the 19th and save that. And then you will come down here and be able to look at what that commission looks like based off your split and your cap. You can come into this edit agent payment section, and this kind of goes back to what you were talking about splitting a commission with a co-agent. If you have any kind of co-agency on a listing, or you're both representing, a buyer and you're splitting that commission, you have a referral fee, anything other than Courtney's PC contract fee, because that is taken automatically from the office. You would come in and add those items. So you can come down here to extra payment items. You can choose your element. And so let's just do, for this example, we'll do a referral. I don't know if any of you are part of, Veterans United, Rise, Ojo, OpCity, any of those kind of things. But this is where you would go in and say, hey, OpCity's taking 35% of my commission off the top. You would type in that 35% commission. You would need the tax ID, which is typically on the commission agreement form that you sign with OpCity to start with. If it's not, you can, or Veterans United or whoever. If it's not, you can reach out to them and get that. But that is how Kayla knows where to send your referral payments and where to send ultimately a tax slip at the end of the year. And then as far as brokerage and agent name, obviously, if you're sending to, another office, you would have that information. If you're sending to OpCity or something like that, you would type OpCity or Veterans United or whatever. And then you would want the address of where to mail the check to and a phone number for Kayla to contact. So for this example, we're just gonna. And now my referral fee is into the commission. You can see that here in this outside referral section. And once you save that, it will reflect down here as well. Once this updates, you can see that now OpCity's referral is being taken out, and you can see what your net take home is after your commission splits. In order to actually get paid after you get your commission check, one, you will bring your commission check, the physical check from the title company here into the office. You will fill out the commission check envelope that's over above the mailboxes and drop your check in there, but you will have to come in here and actually submit this commission request. That then goes to Kayla. Kayla then checks to make sure that you have everything and then processes your check to be deposited into your bank account or your physical check, whatever you've got sorted out with her. Any questions? Awesome. All right. Let's come back to.
I have a question for you. If you are ready from there, then you just do that. So let's say that which is 1 hour.
Right.
So you're saying that I can actually just go to the same opportunity and change to another contract and or because I know that is kind of flexible. Like if you have a contract already in there, let's say 1 Street, then you're trying to change, still having the other information.
Right.
And I don't want that to be
So if you actually type up a contract or any documents that are property specific. Seller's disclosure, offer to purchase contract, any of those items that are specifically tied to one property. You will have to archive the opportunity and make a whole new one. But if you're only getting like your buyer agency agreement signed or your consumer guide to agency or something like that, that's just tied to the client and not tied to the property, you can use that same opportunity again. And so once you we're gonna move down to, I'll show you the under contract section first, and then we'll go down to close, but, you have already gone in and created your commission request, you've put in your offer details. Once again, I still have, checklist in each of these sections. Did I collect the EMD from the buyers and have it delivered to the office? Have I uploaded a copy of my EMD to Command and .loop so that it's in there and documented? Which Myrna actually suggested in the offer to purchase class that she did a week or two ago. You're not required to send that to the listing agent, but she recommended that you do unless your buyers tell you otherwise not to. So that's probably something that I should add to this checklist, which to come in here and add something, all you have to do is click, add item, and then share EMD deposit slip. Listing agent. And now that's in there for me to check off once I've done it. It's really streamlines your pipeline. It helps you know exactly what you need to do with specific individuals. So I highly recommend going in. I actually didn't know that opportunities could do this until I saw it on the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group. And I think I was doing an open house for Courtney or something, and it was kind of a slow day. And I sat in there for the hour and a half while I was waiting on people to come in and entered all this information in, and now it's in there every time I populate a new opportunity. You don't have to go in there and add them every time. So, but you'll see that, they move over with inspections and everything too. So this is, have I requested repairs? Did I attend the home inspection? Did I go over the report with my buyer? All that kind of stuff. So once you go to closed, so you'll move it to close once you have actually closed. And now in this section, eventually, and it takes a little while, it will come out of your pipeline once you have closed it out with the office and you have uploaded your documents and uploaded your commission information. But you can also come back into all opportunities. And you can see this 123 Main Street. I can click these three dots and click archive and it'll go away. So if it's something that fell through, or if it's something you're tired of seeing because it closed a month ago and it's still not gone, all you got to do is get rid of it. And this is where you'll be able to see, like, all of these are transactions that have already closed, or no, well, a majority of these are transactions that are either already closed or are not going through. And so I've already archived them, and that's why they're not showing up in that board view that we were looking at, if that makes sense. So this goes back to answer your question about, you can archive it in .loop, and then you can also come back and archive it in Command to get it out of your Command pipeline as well. So, but if you archive in .loop, it's not going to automatically archive here. That makes sense.
How much has the client updates off on whatever?
So, yeah, I forgot to touch on that. You can actually come into this opportunity, and when you're setting up those checklists, you can set up for your clients to be updated when you complete certain things or move them through certain sections of the opportunity. I manually do all that. I don't have any of that set up in here. Just because there's some things that they don't need to know, like, hey, I put your email address in my database. You know, the stuff that your clients are gonna care about is, did you attend the inspection? Did you get my earnest money? You know, are we through the inspection period? All that kind of stuff. So if you want to come in and automate that, you can. You can set it up to send daily progress emails, or you can set it up to where when you check an item off your checklist, it automatically sends an email to your client, to whatever email that's in your database that says, hey, your agent did this today, or so that they know that you're actively working on the transaction for them and you're not just sitting at home watching Netflix. But
But you could check that off while you're.
you could, yes, but they don't know that.
They just don't.
But you don't, like, you're not only communicating with them, like, you're still calling, texting, whatever, must know, hey.
Right,
X, Y, and Z.
yes, yes, so I'm, you know,
This is here.
yeah, so instead, I like to still, you know, obviously have phone and text communication with clients outside of this, and yes, you can automate it to where, hey, I'll see you at the closing table, and it updates them all the way through, but it's just not, I don't know, that's not the way I do things.
That's a thing we always repeat and harp on, is that this is to get you organized and to help things, but it's not a replacement.
Right.
For personal relationships.
Right.
That's a perfect example.
So,
That's really nice, and maybe, you know, I'm sure there's someone out there who would be thrilled to get like every check mark
yeah,
update, you know, but know that.
yeah, you gotta know your client.
Exactly.
So, and then the last thing that I do once it has been closed out, which I don't know if you all have had the smart plans class or not. But,
Yeah.
okay, so I come into the contact, I find the contact that I was just working with. And these are the tags that I was talking about earlier, for anybody that wasn't familiar. So this is the contact I was just working with. I will come in and add them to smart plans. So I typically use monthly neighborhood nurture. So it keeps them updated on what's happening in their neighborhood, how many properties have sold, what their property value looks like, how average days on market, all that kind of stuff. And then I, obviously with this being myself, they're not on here, but I add them to home anniversary date. I add them to birthdays, which you may or may not get. If you ask the title company for a copy of their driver's license, you'll have their birthday.
Hey,
If you add them on Facebook, you have their birthday typically. And then I add for this past client continued follow-up, which is something that I took from the marketplace and then kind of adapted a little bit. Let me see if I can go in here and
Oh,
show
you're
you.
pulling it up. Can I say something about the?
Yep.
Okay, so some agents have like a printout at the end, they just have their client fill out the closing table, it's just like. Favorite candy, birthday, like your pet's name, like any of that information that they want to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey could very easily just give them the form while we're waiting on closing to get started, they're copying your driver's license anyway. You can just fill this out, he keeps it on file, and then he's got all that information without me.
The other one that I add is this follow-up smart plan. That I keep them on for about a year after the transaction. Just to kind of stay connected. It's kind of automated and you can tell a little bit, but it sends emails to them and then it prompts me to call, which if you have the app, it'll show up in your task. When you log in, it'll say, hey, call so-and-so today. And so these emails, let me see if I can pull up to where you can look at them. And I prompted the closing table like, hey, you know, I'm not going to spam your email, but you will occasionally hear from me. You know, I like to stay in touch. We'll make phone calls, send emails. You know, occasionally my office does cool things like gives away $5,000 vacations and that kind of stuff. And it's just stuff that I want to keep you up to date with. And I also let them know like, hey, if you were pleased with my service, you know, I always send an email following the transaction. Giving you the opportunity to review how I did. I always like to grow and know how I could better serve my clients, and I would appreciate it if you would go and fill out XYZ. And so I have a review landing page set up on my KW site, and that's what I typically, I send them that, and I send them the link to my Facebook. I haven't gotten good with the Google review stuff yet, but I know a lot of agents use Rate My Agent. But this is kind of what that smart plan looks like. So this email is sent 60 days after closing.
You have to put in their contact information every time.
No, so that automatically submits the contact information to whatever contact you have on the smart plan. As long as you come in and add those links, you can come in here and click, you know, contact first name, last name, email. It'll automatically send that to whatever contact you have assigned to that smart plan. And then, you know, it's got me prompted 24 days later, call and check in. And so I've even had I had a client that closed in Louisville back at the beginning of the year. That I've talked to 2 or 3 times now, and they're like, hey, you know, we're having problems with this, or hey, we want to redo the bathroom. Do you have any recommendations, and that kind of stuff? And so being able to be a source outside of just let me find you a house is a great way to keep in touch with people. Any questions? Awesome. I think I'm good.
Well done.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
She's also what can be done in 2.5 short years.
Yeah, this is what I use. I don't use, you know, there's agents out there that use KB Core and Brivity and Boomtown and all that kind of stuff, and use Command. So
And you mentioned as well, because I think what is so key specifically to you that goes beyond kind of like you just default settings or all those checklists
Yeah.
or the cultivate, the phases of the stages, right? And you have those listed, you said.
yeah,
We could.
yeah, I need to find where I have them or where I found them, but yes, I do have them somewhere.
I got you. Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I can come in here and screenshot or take pictures or list them out on a.
I just figured, I don't know if that's something that people, because I'm looking at that and like, that's the stuff that like kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, I can share that.
It's so foreign, but at the same time, it's like, every one of those pieces obviously has to be a part of the transaction, and I can't imagine trying to keep track of said pieces without that.
Yeah, especially when you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 different people looking all at one time. It's like, hey, whose email do I have? Whose address do I have? Whose check do I have?
I'd like to do some kind of workshopping where we can actually like do the things.
Yeah.
Cause I'm bad about like, oh, listen, this is great, I know how to do it, and then I go about the rest of my day, and I've never tried back to that for like a week or so here. So,
I'll tell you, and Courtney can vouch, that when I first started, I was lost as lost could be, and Scott Leroy marketing videos on YouTube, Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group, and at the time, Chloe that was here were my best resources for figuring out what was going on and how to operate all of this new technology that was being introduced.
yeah, and Jeffrey has, this is all self-exploration, self-taught from Jeffrey. He loves technology, figuring out things. He's very meticulous in his clients and the process and all that stuff. So this is helping him be better organized from the very start, no matter who he talks to. He's not scrambling around to find any things. Contact in command, and then they're going. And he's always been like that. Once he figured.
If you need help tracking down clients too, you know.
Yeah. I'll take Jeffrey and be like, this guy's down like a creeper, what do you know about it? And they'll send me like all.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, good resources, so, thank you.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, there's so many things that command does, it's very overwhelming to sit down and play with, but listening to you, obviously, I've never
Opportunities.
command option. But like, I've never used the checklist on there. I'm always like, what's the button? But I never hit the button because I'm just getting on there and do whatever I do. And I don't sync my dot loop and my command. I am
You
crazy.
download and
I
upload.
download every document. And so making your life so much harder. I know, I can't let it go yet.
Let it.
Michael's like, can somebody do like pay transaction coordinator? And I'm like, no, it takes me 5 minutes. I can do it. So.
It could take you 5 seconds.
It's.
I have a command, I just downloaded.
Start the loop in command.
Oh, yeah.
I also, like I told you, I'm all about the bigger the paper trail, the better. And so
PC versions.
in addition to dot loop and command, I also keep a Google Drive of all of my buyer docs and upload all of them into there too. And it just, yeah, I'm kind of anal when it comes to paperwork. So
On a basic level, that, once you sync dot loop in command and you start that transaction, that automatically creates a loop.
yes,
Okay. That to me is somehow
It
the hurdle I've been trying to get.
Started dot loop, but then go into command, it's not connected.
yeah, you can't connect it.
Gotcha, so you start in dot loop, we're not connected.
Yeah.
You start the transaction, okay, because again, those are the two things I mean.
Right, you don't use it,
No, it's
yeah.
like,
Yeah, you go
Oh,
into
okay.
command, start the loop, and then you go into dot loop.
But like in every phase, so like in opportunity, when we're listing paperwork, then I upload that paperwork as soon as it's done. Like I'll put that.
It's there, you just.
No, I understand. I just think I can.
This is why. This. Understand, you don't need to do it that way.
No, I can't let it go yet.
What
That's
if
why
you
I,
let it go?
well, cause if I do it, I know it's done.
But you're still doing it. You still have to go in there and
Oh, yeah.
link and click on the file. for the-
You're welcome.
Man,
Yeah.
and then, in the opportunity, you still have to link it.
Yeah.
That's it. So you're still going in there, you're still placing each document in its correct line. Here.
I'll try them. I'll do that.
All in unison. Let it go, let it go. Checklist, I think that might be.
The checklist seem huge also because they just state it.
Yeah,
So like, I'm sure there's something in one transaction that makes sense. but
yeah,
That like wouldn't apply until the next one, something new comes in and then you add that to the checklist and then it's forever like. You know, you're never gonna be able to predict every single thing.
right. There's too many variables.
Build all the experiences that way in a helpful way.
You're not using these, Steve?
Wait, we're reading chapter 1. What's this? Chapter 6?
I don't use.
And then.
You can adjust it, but you can-
Mondays.
Yeah, you have to enter all of it in there, yeah.
I just don't use them.
And at 9 by, yes,
Every
so
client,
6 through 9.
it's, for me, it's just very organic, I don't. I know in my brain what I'm doing with each of them. I don't have like 800 of them, so.
Yeah, it just helps
I
me
think
keep
that the
track.
one thing that I probably need to just say, you need to create a pipeline, smart plan.
I don't.
That I put everyone that's in my pipeline on a auto touch.
Right.
Just check in.
Right. Hey, do you have any questions? That kind of-
What I kind of do though with the pipeline
And then.
is it's
the
kind of like
opportunity.
a once a week, just go through and send them all the texts,
Yep.
right? And just kind of touch base with them that way and then go on, and then I have my quarterly calls, which is about to reload. Start generating, or to do that every day, all the time.
Right.
You can create an office, right?
Jordan, did you have any
Yeah,
questions?
you can create an office. Start uploading the doc.
No, not right now. I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and log this off so that it stops the recording. Thanks for being here.
The only thing about the opportunity is it's tracked